Hey there, welcome to the latest episode of Hiker Homily. This time I'm going to talk about the backyard fire pit that I have put in my backyard, and that even if you live in suburbia, you can probably do in yours. Although my first caveat I'll throw out there is you got to double check in your city. Some cities say no to that kind of thing. There's a lot of cities now that have forbidden things like fireplaces in homes and things like that, and so they definitely wouldn't want backyard fire pits. They're trying to cut down on the amount of smoke that gets into the air in a city and things like that. So double check your city ordinances if it's allowed. Some cities allow those kinds of things, but then they have what's considered a burn night and a non-burn night. So it's kind of weird. It's your private property. Especially in my case, I own my home. This is my property. The bank does not own it. I'm not paying a mortgage anymore. It's mine. But in some cases, the city can tell me what to do with my property. No, you can't have a fire on this night, or you can have a fire on this night, blah, blah, blah. So there is those kinds of things to consider before you go and do this. Find out if you can actually do that in your city or not, and if they have any kind of limits on what nights, how many days you can do that, and things like that. But a backyard fire pit, as you can see, I'll start rolling some pictures here and things like that. It's fairly simple. It's you figure out how big you're going to want it by the amount of bricks to do your little circle, your initial circle, and then you dig a hole. You're going to want that hole to be, fairly deep, probably 3 to 4 feet, because you are going to fill it in with some things, as you're going to see in some of the pictures that I'm putting up there. You're going to put a layer of sand down, and that's going to help with drainage and just kind of take care of things at the very bottom. Is going to be between the dirt that is left there when you dig your hole. You're going to have a layer of sand. On top of the sand, you're going to put a lava rock. That's the kind of rock that can handle heat without blowing. You want to be careful about things like river rocks, or just your regular, like you can buy a whole bag of rocks for things like in the garden to do, like say on borders and things like that. Well, some of those rocks, river rocks, if they get superheated by a fire, they can explode. That can cause a problem. So you want to try to avoid those. Lava rocks you won't have that kind of a problem with, and so we went with red lava rock. The color really doesn't matter. We decided to go with the red lava rock. You put a layer of that down, and you pretty much got your fire pit at that point. You're gonna put your ring of cement around it, cement stone. So you've got that around in a ring. You don't have to. We chose to put, as you can see here in the pictures, a metal ring on top of the stone. That kind of gives us more depth. That way we have a nice sized fire pit that I can burn several fires in before I have to shovel it out and do all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what you can do with ash depending on what kind of stuff you have. But really that's the simple thing. You're digging a hole. Once you figure out the size you want and you put your stone around it, and you dig that hole, put the right combination of things, sand, lava rock, and then we put the metal frame around it, and now we have a fire pit, as you can see there, totally operational. It's fantastic. Now, cleaning it out, some of the things that you do need to be aware of. Number one, unlike your chimney, if you have a fireplace at home, I know a lot of homes are built now without them. The chimney is way up on top of the roof, and when the smoke comes out, even if you've got a filter on top, which a lot of cities required, the smoke starts way high up and it generally continues to carry up. Now, a fire pit is right at ground level, so when you're having your fire, that smoke, if you've ever been camping, you know that the smoke will kind of float wherever a light breeze is going to push it and things like that. So you do have to be aware of that. That if you're using wood that's really smoky, it's kind of wet, so it smokes a lot and things like that, you're liable to be putting smoke directly. It's not going to go up. Some of it's going to go out, kind of sideways, because that's where the wind is pushing it before it finally rises up. And so it could end up just being pushed into your neighbor's yards and things like that. So in the suburbs, you have to be cognizant of that. You want to be a good neighbor. I hope you want to be a good neighbor. Because I've lived next door to some great neighbors. I've lived next door to some really bad neighbors. And believe me, the great neighbors are much better to live next door to. So you want to be one of those. So be cognizant of that. Try to avoid it if you can. Definitely by using properly seasoned wood that is going to burn more than smoke. Things like that for one thing. And then just kind of be aware. If your city doesn't have burn or not burn days, you may want to hold yourself to standards of, okay, I'm looking outside and the way the wind is moving, this isn't a burn day. That's going to put smoke and embers and stuff all over the neighborhood. We're not going to burn tonight. Be courteous. Number 2, when you're using your fire pit, you're going to end up eventually, it's going to be full of ash and stuff. What do you do with that? Well, there are several things you can do with it. I take some of it, as long as you're burning the kind of wood that's going to be okay when it's left over in ash. I take some of it, I store it in a blue bucket. And you really can't see them, but they're over there yelling, my chickens. Underneath their coop is their dusting area. And that is a combination of sand, like playground sand that I buy at the store. Oh my gosh, my brain is just completely blowing away. And I have some laying here somewhere, see if I can find it. Yeah, we're gonna go for a walk. Peat moss, thank you. I know I had a whole bag of it sitting right over there. I just couldn't remember the name of it. So some sand, some peat moss, and a few other things, including diatomaceous earth, and I will mix in some ash, not a lot. You don't want a whole bunch of it. Some ash into that, and then for those of you who don't know, chickens love to go. They'll get into that kind of thing, and they'll kind of sit down, and then they'll just start kicking their feet. And it's called a dust bath. They kind of throw dust and stuff up. And what that does is it helps them against things like mites and other types of insects that might bother them if you have any in the area. So far, we've been pretty free of that kind of trouble, I think, because we keep up on it. We're always checking the girls. We're regularly cleaning the coop out from things that could, create that kind of a problem. And they have their dust bath, and that diatomaceous earth and the ash in it, when they get it up, they get it on their legs, they get it under feathers and things like that. They'll move around, they'll get it around their beak and everything else like that, and that prevents that kind of thing. The mites don't like that, they choke, so it wipes them out when they're there, and also just kind of prevents them from just getting a hold in there and breeding and being more, and then they get on the birds and bother my birds. So ash is good for that. A little bit of ash, depending on what it is okay to mix into your garden soil. You don't want too much of that, but some is okay. So there's things you can do besides just toss it out. But other than that, we kind of take care of it that way. So we don't throw away a lot of the ash. Some of it gets used. We're avid gardeners. You'll be seeing more of that in the channel. Videos like this. But backyard fire pit, it's that simple. It's not bad, and it's a lot of fun to have that kind of, like I say, if you're courteous to your neighbors and things, you're not too noisy and stuff, to have that kind of fun camping experience, campfire thing in your own backyard is nice. So there it is. I hope you found that interesting. If you're interested in doing it, hopefully you're able to. Again, double check your city ordinances where you happen to live. In my city, you can do it. My city does have a burn ordinance, and so any night that says it's a non-burn night, basically what they're telling is people with fireplaces, don't use your fireplaces tonight, please. Generally, it's times where the smoke could get trapped. The atmospheric conditions are such that the smoke is going to end up getting trapped and just sitting lower here over the city and causing a problem. So we don't have that too much out here in the valley. We get a decent delta breeze almost every evening that pushes stuff away and things. So it's not often, but they do that. And I know generally they're worried about fireplaces, but we take it to heart and understand that that also means a fire pit. It's the same kind of thing. The smoke is going to go up. And if it doesn't have anywhere to go because the air is still, or there's a lot of cloud cover to catch it, there it is, non-burn night. So there we go, fire pit. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks a lot for keeping track of my goofy little channel. I always appreciate you guys sticking with me. And I'll catch you next time.